See how these defaults, they ingrain everything we've done. We go back to what we're used to. We go back to the old bitternesses, the old anger, the old fears. We go back to the old system of churchianity and religion. We go back to what's safe, to what we're familiar with. And it's so deeply rooted that sometimes we think we've gone back to the default, and it's not the default. It's like, let me talk about this cell phone again for a minute. I get brave and I go into the settings and try to make something into something really fancy. Instead, I need to throw it away because I can't figure it out. I hit factory settings, goes back to the default, and this thing is only now performing 1% of its capacity because all I do is make it stay in the defaults. That's why most of us are only 1% of who we are. We don't allow the Lord to change us. We don't allow ourselves to see things out of the box, so we go back to the default. The basic manufacturer's settings, the beginning point, that's where this phone is. Now, the problem, even beyond that, is that what if I don't like the default settings? What if the settings aren't default enough? What if they aren't basic enough? Then I've got even more work to do to try to figure out how to get in there to change even the basic defaults. Maybe hold it underwater, you know, drop it out the window, something to actually get rid of the defaults, the basic defaults that I don't like. Okay? So sometimes we find ourselves doing things. Don't pray the prayer I prayed. I'm telling you, don't pray it. I said, Lord, start to show me my defaults. Don't write it down. Don't pray that prayer. You'll be in trouble. Unless you don't think you have defaults, then write it down. And ask the Lord to show you your defaults. Because it is not a pleasant sight. But what happens is you'll learn God's grace and mercy, and you'll begin to find a new place of freedom. Because I'll tell you what, for 1,000,000 years I said my doctrine is written in chalk, not in the rock. Okay? But after 1,000,000 years, dang, I threw that chalk down and got out that chisel, and it's amazing how much is in the rock.
Yeah.
I need a stonemason to reface that rock, make it back into a chalkboard. Now, I'm not talking about the core doctrines of our faith. I'm talking about the 99% of the other stuff that we use to distinguish why I'm better than you. Those are the things I'm talking about. Things that make us satisfied to be who we are, instead of understanding that we're just, we are all in this together. We are heading someplace. And you know, this whole thing that He has prepared for us, this city, we are sojourners in the land. It is the most exciting thought for the believer, is that we're sojourners. We're on a journey, and the scenery is always changing. And there's always adjustments, and there's always things that are different. And we need to be willing to understand that. One of the hardest things for me when I write a book is that I'll go back and read it 10 years later, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what was that? When I discovered the Most Holy Place in 1986, I threw away probably 200 sermons because it made no sense anymore. It made no sense. Now this study of multi-dimensional reality and the whole truth of the dynamics of who we really are. See, these physicists are just bumping into God everywhere they go. Everywhere. So they invent this thing called the Great Machine. Or somebody else that theorizes that there is a great ether colorless, odorless, tasteless, volumeless substance that holds the entire universe together. Nobody sees it, nobody defines it, but the fact that the whole universe is together means it must exist. It's like, you know what? That's God. You know, it's not ether. You know, it's God, for God's sake. It's God. And so this is also rechanging everything we believe. And the more I study this and look at this, I think of your defaults, and I think, oh my goodness, God, what are you going to have to do to get us to allow you to reprogram us so that we can hear.